Okay, guys, it's 1 minute to 6, and I'm just sitting here with my boy Tahm Kench, just waiting and waiting for him to get revealed. I am so excited for him to get added to Runeterra. He was one of my favorite champions in actual League, along with Pike and Fiddlesticks. And man, I really hope they do him some justice. All right, it's 6 now, so I'm just gonna spam refresh and wait for him to show up. Oh my god, he looks so cool. Oh no, I need this in high quality. He looks so cool. Oh my god. All right, I can't wait any longer.
Table for one, if you'd oblige. There's always.
I've captured 3+ units. When I level up, obliterate my captured unit enemies and release my allies. Round start. Create an acquired taste in hand. What? I don't even know how this is going to work, but this looks so cool.
There's room for supper. Let us peruse.
Tahm Kench swallows an enemy unit, it strikes him, then he captures it. That's so cool. It strikes him? So he's never gonna eat like anything huge.
This establishment's fair.
Devour friend and foe. Oh my god, I love it! That animation! Oh wait. An ally captures another ally and gains the captured ally stats. Gains its stats? Wait a second. Oh my god, wait. So detain is like...
Come along! There's room for everyone.
Create an okay. Obliterate my captures and attack. Wait, so what was it before? This is on attack? And oh, and now he just needs to... Okay, I get it. Okay, where did we leave off here? So the point here is to use an acquired taste before you attack, and then you attack with Tahm Kench to swallow everything that you've detained or captured. Oh my god, that looks amazing.
I'll scrutinize something scrumptious.
This is insane. This looks so cool.
Now we gourmandize.
Wow, that's all I can say. They did him justice. I was waiting for him, and boy, they did him justice. Okay, so to start off discussing the cards that have been revealed in the last 3 days, I'm obviously going to start with Tahm Kench because he's the first champion that got revealed, and to actually talk about his supporting cards, we need to get a better understanding of what Tahm Kench actually does and how good he is. So basically, Tahm Kench, at first glance, reminds me a lot of Taric, because Taric kind of like needs you to do stuff while supporting and buffing and like keeping him alive. And then when you get that done, he is an insanely good card. Like when he's leveled up, you're just going to win games by making all your units invulnerable every time you attack. And with Tahm Kench, that's kind of the same. Like you have to level him up, and then every time you attack, he obliterates the unit that you captured. So you need to play a card before you actually attack with him, just like Taric. Even though Taric cards are mostly buff cards. But I'm gonna suspect that Tahm Kench goes best with Targon 2 because of Bastion and because of heal cards like Guiding Touch. The fact that Bayou Brunch makes the target that you're capturing strike you is going to feel a little bit awkward because he has 6 health, which is a lot, but you actually have to do this 3 times. So I suspect that because of the way, oh sorry, I called it a Bayou Brunch, but I mean an acquired taste. They strike Tahm Kench and then he captures it, so he's always going to be damaged. So healing cards and buff cards are going to get a lot of value in this kind of Bilgewater deck. I'm having a really hard time seeing what cards you would want to put in a deck like this, though. So yeah, like I said, Targon with gems is like the first thing I think about, and the healing card from Targon too, obviously. But another good region could be Freljord because of cards like Elixir of Iron, Troll Chant. Troll Chant's going to be really, really good with Tahm Kench, like incredibly good. So I'm also wondering if Bayou Brunch is main deckable, because if that's the case, then Freljord could be really strong. It says an ally. So this means it's flexible, right? So you don't necessarily have to use it on Tahm Kench. I think it's going to be a little bit hard to level him up, but because of his stat line, it's going to be better than. I keep comparing him to Taric because I've been playing a lot of Taric lately, but I think it's going to be easier than Taric, and it's also going to be better than Taric because if the stars align for Tahm Kench, and I don't think this is going to happen every game, he is going to take over games so fast because the deck you're playing him in is going to be running a lot of buffs, right? So yeah, the only thing I can see right now is pairing him with Freljord and Targon. I think those will be the best options. Also, just to think about like the other self-damage cards, it's really interesting that he can like capture. I almost want to say swallow. That he can capture his own allies, like the self-damage cards, like the Boxtopus, which I'm going to talk about later too. And then when he releases them, it becomes a 3/4. So it's the same when you, for example, capture an enemy Radiant Guardian. When the Radiant Guardian is released, it's going to be a 4/5 with no tough and no lifesteal. It's hard. I think this card is going to be good. I think Tahm Kench is going to be very strong, but it really depends on how well he can be supported in a deck. Because Bilgewater is kind of like a strange region for it. It's a strange region for self-damage cards because they don't. Okay, they have the Citrus Courier, which heals your board by 3. But what else do they have that can like buff your own cards or heal them even? I can't think of anything right now. Bilgewater is such a fragile region when you think about it like that. Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about this yet. It's really, really hard to evaluate. And I think it's going to play out like Taric a little bit, where Taric is okay, but he's not really on a competitive level. And I think Tahm Kench is going to be slightly better than that. I think like Tahm Kench is going to find a home, especially if Soraka gets added, because you just want to play him in heal decks with his self damage package, like the cards at self damage. If you can heal those up, like Guiding Touch is just going to be the best card in Tahm Kench deck, right? And gems. Yeah, I can see that. I think it's a good card. I think Tahm Kench is going to be very good. And I mean, look at him. He's just a badass. This is the card I'm going to be playing. It's the first card revealed, but I've always just loved Tahm Kench in League of Legends. His personality, like Riot kind of butchered him in League itself because he was so good competitively. But his personality and his design and lore, it's still there. And man, they captured it very well. I'm happy. They did him justice. All right, so let's talk about Wise Fry next. Wise Fry is play, deal one damage to all other allies, yes, and grant me +1/+0 for each of them. 6 mana 3/8 with Overwhelm and Vulnerable. The fact it has Vulnerable makes this a really strange card. This is like a little bit like Crimson Awakener, but with like an upside kind of. 8 health is a lot, and if you're going to be playing him in like a Tahm Kench deck, it's not that hard to like abuse the fact that it's damaging everything, right? Also, I just realized Tahm Kench with Augur of the Old Ones, especially after you've gained the stats of some of your allies. Man, that's going to be an insane combo. Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about Vice Fry. I don't think this card is going to be amazing. I don't really like the vanilla-ness of it, kind of. It doesn't really do anything mind-blowing. It's just going to be a big body with Overwhelm, but it doesn't even have like the potential to grow bigger than if you have 5 other allies, it's going to be an 8/8 for 6 with Overwhelm, which is obviously really good. But then it also has Vulnerable, so your opponent has plenty of ways to like counterplay it. So I don't think it does enough really, but maybe I'm missing something here. Even if you like use Bayou Brunch on it, it comes out as a 3/8 again. Man, Bayou Brunch is such an interesting card because supposedly like Tahm Kench gains the stats permanently, and then when he spits them out or when he releases them, he still keeps the stats, but the allies are on the board again. Man, that's so cool flavor wise. I love it. All right, so Rice Fry, I'm not sold on it. I think this is not even a card you would necessarily play in the Tahm Kench deck. Okay, let's move on to Shakedown. Deal 2 to an ally to grant 2 enemies vulnerable. Burst speed. So the fact that this is burst speed, I think is very nice. I think this might actually see play. Just because of the, well, hmm. Once again, this would just go in a heal deck then. Like the reason it's interesting is because I've played a lot of Vladimir, and often you'd want to take a certain trade. Like you want your Crimson Curator to attack into that 1/1, but they're never blocking with that. So the fact that you can deal 2 to like proc some damage effects and then choose what you're going to trade into, that can be a lot of value. I think it's a good card, but I can't really justify a deck spot in my head for this. This might be like a one-off kind of deal. Yeah, I don't. No, I don't see it. It's interesting in Fizz decks though, I guess. 1 mana burst spell. It's like give vulnerable to the other elusive units so that they can block you. Hard to say. I'm not, no, I don't think I'm a big fan of the Wise Fry and the Shakedown. I'm a big fan of Bayou Brunch and Tahm Kench himself though. Just so many opportunities to do awesome stuff with them. All right, so next up, some cards were revealed yesterday too. There were 6 Bilgewater cards, and in total there were 2 Shadow Isles cards. So let's start with the Bilgewater cards, and I'm going to start with the self-damage package again, just because we just talked about Tahm Kench. So the first one is Krusty Codger. At 2/4, deal 2 to me. So this is just another card in a long line of 1 mana 2/2s, like Citria, Jack Butcher, uh, even the new Solari Soldier. But it has an upside, just like the Solari Soldier and Jack Butcher. I think this card is good enough in a Tahm Kench deck. I think this is, yeah, because with the way you're going to be playing gems to make this a 3/3 or a Guiding Touch. Also, Jack Butcher and the Island Navigator, huge buff. Like, these cards just got a lot better because of Krusty Codger. Yeah, I think this card is going to see play in those decks. I don't think this is better than Jack Butcher in other, like, Plunder, Bilgewater decks. I mean, obviously not Plunder decks, but, like, even in Scouts. In Scouts, you're still going to want to play the Jack Butcher. But I think for this deck specifically, this is going to be the best 2-drop you can get. Also synergize with Tahm Kench, because if you eat this and then release it, it's a 2/4. That's also why I really like the Boxtopus. I think Boxtopus is a fantastic card, and I'm going to be putting this in a lot of decks, even if it's just for the name. I mean, Boxtopus, come on. So Boxtopus is a challenger with play, deal 3 to me, and it's a 3/4. So when you play it, it will be a 3/1. Um, yeah, the reason I like this so much is just because it's not that hard to heal this back up with like gems or guiding touch, or even by swallowing it with Tahm Kench to spit it out as a 3/4 again. Tahm Kench does not copy the keywords though, which is interesting to note, because if you give Tahm Kench Challenger or like even anything else like Tough, it could get a little out of control real fast. But yeah, this is also really interesting with cards like Retreat, or it's called Retreat, right? Where you put, for 2 mana, you put an ally back into your hand, and then for 1 mana, you summon them again. Because if you do that, this is going to be a 3/4 with Challenger for 2 mana. Yeah, I think this is a great card. This is definitely going to see play in Tahm Kench decks. It's extremely strong for that. Like, I'm also evaluating these cards on the fact that they are played in Tahm Kench decks, because standalone, a 3/1 with Challenger is pretty good, but this reminds me of the card, the Wolf, the 3/2 that summons a 1/1 rabbit for your opponent. And it's kind of comparable to that. But I think you can make a lot of plays around this card with healing it and Tahm Kench shenanigans. Next up is the Fortune Croaker. Deal 1 to me and an ally to draw 1. This card is bonkers. Absolutely insane card. Almost every build order deck is going to play this. Like, how insane is this for Swain decks too? This is the card that's probably going to make Tahm Kench decks really good too, because drawing cards just means consistency for your deck. Yeah, I'm going to put this in every Tahm Kench deck for sure, and I'm probably going to consider it in even decks like Scouts. It's a 2 mana 2/2 that draws a card, and like even if you're playing a Vladimir decks, that's 2 procs. 2 procs for Vladimir. Yeah, there's not much to say about this card. This is just a crazy good. And then there's the Lounging Lizard. Elusive, round star, deal 2 to me, and it's a 3/5. Yeah, this is just going to see play in elusive decks. It's kind of comparable to Golden Narwhal, with the way that it's an elusive with a downside, and I like this design much more for elusives, by the way. I hate cards like Greenglade Duo, which is just an elusive with an upside. So you have to play this on your attacking turn in order to get 2 attacks off, or you need to start healing it. The thing is, though, you need 2 gems to actually make this connect one, or like survive 1 extra round. Or 1 Guiding Touch, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is going to see play in elusive decks, but I don't think I played this in Tahm Kench decks. Just because it's round start and it's not a play effect. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good card. I just don't think this necessarily fits into the Tahm Kench package. Yeah, there's not much else to say about it. It's just an elusive. So eventually it's going to see play in an elusive deck. That's just always how those things goes. Okay, so next up is the Slaughter Dogs, which is a landmark. Round start, toss 1. If you are deep, destroy me to summon a random sea monster. Yeah, so I have a few. I think this is a really good card, but I have a few problems with it. First of all, deep right now is just survive the early game and then win anyway because you're playing sea monsters. And the 3 mana slot is either Jaw Hunters or the Dead Bloom Wanderer, the 3/2 with lifesteal. Is this better than those? I think it's better, but it doesn't provide like board control or anything. It's just like a, a way to get deep, like at some point in the game, even if you're playing something else than Shadow Isles. If this was your only toss card, eventually, theoretically, you would still be deep. I do like it for that reason, the fact you can now go outside of Shadow Isles to make this card good. But I don't like the way it plays in deep decks, just for that reason. Just for the reason that it doesn't do anything when you play it. Obviously, once you go deep and it summons a sea monster, it's insane, because you'll already be deep, so the sea monster you summon is going to have that +3/+3. This is so hard. It's also like sometimes you're just playing the game, you're tossing your card to go deep, and you've already destroyed all your sea monster, or you've already tossed all your sea monster, and you haven't played Nautilus yet to put them back into your deck. What does this card do then? Does it still destroy itself and just summon nothing, or does it wait until you summon a sea monster back into your deck? I think if it's the second option of what I just mentioned, that it might actually be good enough to see play. I don't think this will ever be a 3 of. It really depends how the meta shapes up. If we see less aggro, it could definitely, like if we see ramp decks all over the place, this is going to be very good, because this is like kind of a ramp tool for deep, right? This is like deep Weirding Stones. Yeah, the 3 drop slot is a little bit crowded for deep decks, so it makes me really unsure how this card is going to be played. Well, I think it's a card people are going to experiment with, and then eventually they'll either keep it because it's just insane, or they'll take it out because aggro is just running them over. Next up is Sunk Cost. Shuffle a unit or landmark into its deck. So I guess its deck means that if you do an ally, or if you use it on an ally, it goes into your deck. If you do it on an enemy, it goes into their deck. That's pretty expensive. 8 mana. 8 mana to shuffle a unit or landmark into its deck. So this is like Like Nautilus is Riptide, except you don't have to have Nautilus on the board, and it costs 4 more mana, and it's slow. Oh, it's slow. Uh, I'm not a fan of this. It is 8 mana, which means it could see play in a Behold deck with Trolls because of the Dreadway and Riptide Rex. But no, I don't see this card. Unless landmarks once again turn out to be completely insane, I don't see a reason to play this really. It's just too expensive, and if you want like a deck with removal, you're not gonna go to Bilgewater. Bilgewater is like, oh well, I'm gonna deal 1 damage 3 times and pray that it hits the right target. If you want target removal, you're gonna go to I don't know, to Shadow Isles or Targon even. Yeah, I don't like this card. I don't think this will ever see play unless we go into a meta where landmarks are the centerpieces of decks. Okay, and then we have Vault of Helia. Landmark and round start, kill your most expensive ally to summon an ally from your deck that costs 1 more. Also, just such an interesting design. I really like landmarks. I really like what they bring to the game. But it's incredibly hard to like evaluate them. I think this card could be good, but like what needs to happen for this card to be good? Okay, so let's say let's say you go into turn 6, and on turn 5 you play the hard guard, right? Yeah, so you have the hard guard on the board, and then you play this on turn 6. It will kill the hard guard, and it will summon Anivia. Then it will kill the Anivia, and it will summon Rekindler. Then it will kill Rekindler, and it will summon Trinomir. Then it kills Trinomir, and it summons Ledros. And then it kills Ledros, and it summons See Who Wanders. That's I don't know. There's a lot of counterplay to this card because your opponent could just destroy the enemy's most expensive unit. I mean, that's easier said than done, obviously, but potentially they could do that, and then you have nothing left. Like the chain is broken, and you got to start with your cheap units again, supposedly. I I'm very curious to see what kind of deck this will end up in, because I actually don't think it'll be War Mother decks, or maybe it's War Mother decks and they take out War Mother. No, I can't really see that either. It's funny though, because the best play War Mother decks have is usually just playing Troll on 5. Maybe now it's just playing Vault of Helia on 5 and just even like killing your stones to summon something. They don't actually run any 4 mana units, I believe. I think it's a very good card, and I can't wait to see what deck it ends up in. Personally, I'm thinking like that the deck that just curves so nicely with like Anivia and Rekindler. Yeah, it's probably gonna end up there. I don't think this will go into They Who Endure decks. Okay, and lastly we have Crumble. Kill an ally to kill a unit or destroy a landmark. So this is basically Noxian Fervor's bigger brother. Bigger, much more awkward brother because it's slow. Yeah, I just see this as a wannabe Noxian Fervor. I don't think this card's very good. Like the counterplay is even bigger because obviously you want to use this on one of your cheap allies or cheap units to destroy one of the bigger units for your opponent. But like the smaller unit you use this on from yourself, the easier it is for your opponent to kill that unit that you're using it on and just completely make the spell fizzle. And 5 mana, it's a pretty steep cost. I mean, granted, it does matter a lot less for control decks that this spell fizzles than it will for aggro decks, because usually that 3 damage could like make or break them. But I think this card is way too awkward to play at slow speed. I don't see this happening personally. No, I think there's just better things to do than using like it's only 2 mana cheaper than Vengeance, and Vengeance is fast. No, I don't like this card. I don't think it'll see play. Maybe very niche. Alright, well, that's all the cards that have been revealed so far. I hope you guys like this, because this is kind of like the first time that I'm doing something like this, and it's kind of like a learning process, because I don't know, it's kind of hard to come up with something on the spot sometimes. Like it's less time to think about what you want to say, or like what you think about the cards, because in the 5 minutes that Tahm Kench has been revealed, I had to make an opinion on him, and my only opinion right now is, oh my god, he looks so cool. I want to play with him right now. But how good is he actually? It's like it's such a contained package, like self damage. There's no real other like tempo build for the deck that you can play Tahm Kench with right now. Not as far as I know. I don't see it at least. But yeah, if you guys like this kind of video, let me know, and I will also do it for the other cards that get revealed. The reason I did for Tahm Kench is because he's one of my favorite champions, and I'm super stoked that he's in Runeterra now. So yeah, that's all that I have for now. Once again, if you enjoyed it, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time.